Today on Who is That Saint? We meet a teenage girl with no military training, no political clout and no fear, who heard the voice of heaven and changed the course of a war. Saint Joan of Arc wasn't just brave. She was battle-tested, divinely inspired, and executed for being exactly what God called her to be. If you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or told to stay in your lane, Joan is your patron saint of holy defiance. Joan was born in 1412 in the village of Domremy in northeastern France. She was the daughter of farmers and raised devoutly Catholic. At age 13 she began hearing what she described as voices, first of Saint Michael the Archangel, then of Saint Catherine of Alexandria and Saint Margaret of Antioch. They told her God had a mission for her: drive the English out of France and help crown Charles VII as king. Let's be clear, this was the 100 Years' War and France was getting crushed. And now, a teenage girl in a dress was claiming to be the answer. By the age of 17, Joan had persuaded a local garrison commander to escort her to the court of Charles VII. After a series of examinations, theological, medical and otherwise, Joan was given armor, troops and a banner. Not a sword. A banner. She led troops to lift the siege of Orléans, one of France's lowest moments. And she won. Not by strategy, but by inspiring absolute, undeniable courage in those around her. Her presence turned the tide of war. Victory after victory followed. And eventually in Reims Cathedral Charles VII was crowned king, just as the voices had said. Joan's mission should have ended in triumph. Instead it ended in treachery. In 1430, during a skirmish near Compiègne, she was captured by Burgundian forces allied with the English. They sold her to the English for a hefty price. She was put on trial for heresy, cross-dressing, she wore men's armor, and claiming divine visions. The trial was political theater with a predetermined ending. Joan stood firm. Even under intense pressure she never denied her visions. On May 30, 1431, at the age of 19 she was burned at the stake in Rouen. Her last word? Jesus. 25 years later, the Church re-examined her case and declared the trial invalid. In 1920, nearly 500 years after her death, Joan of Arc was canonized a saint by Pope Benedict XV. She became one of the most beloved saints in Catholic history, and today she's a national heroine in France, not just for her patriotism but for her mystical, gritty holiness. Saint Joan of Arc is now the patron saint of France. Soldiers, prisoners, people mocked for their faith, those who suffer for doing what's right. She's also a patron for every person who's ever been told to sit down when God was telling them to stand up. Saint Joan of Arc didn't write a book. She didn't found a religious order. She didn't even live to see 20. But she obeyed fiercely, faithfully and to the end. She reminds us that sainthood doesn't require age, approval or a comfortable ending. It requires courage. When the world says, you can't, and God says, you must, be like Joan. Quote of the day: I'm not afraid. I was born to do this. Saint Joan of Arc. Outro music F.